welcome to the Engerati studio here at Itron Utility Week. And we did an interview earlier on with Dr. Michael Weber about his resourcefulness curriculum. And we're now joined by Kiana and Eddie, and you're at quite a unique institution in terms of the energy high school that you've got. Eddie, tell us a little bit about where you study and what's different about it.
Well, it's a lot different than a traditional high school because everything that we learn it on project-based learning. So the teachers give us a lot of freedom. And since it is a STEM school, our core classes, it's based on engineering, and right now we're taking environmental science as well. And we always take our English class too, which they always find a way to relate it to the engineering that we're doing, and then history.
So you learn how to speak engineering English rather than English.
Yes.
Right. So Kiana, like from your point of view, as like going, do you get involved in Dr. Weber's courses? Is that coming in?
They showed us how to use his website and his app so we can get more reliable information whenever we do present our projects. So we use that a lot whenever we were trying to do research and trying to just get more information about what is going on in the world.
So tell me, now that you are involved in this energy industry, I mean, one of the things that I always say is that the energy industry is doing a bit of a poor job in terms of promoting itself as interesting, sexy, for want of a better word, right? What are you saying? What do you know now that you wish that this sector would be talking about a little bit more to, attract more talent into it? Because we need all the bright young minds that we can get to solve the problems.
It's just, I think it's really interesting. I've always thought the energy industry was fascinating to me, especially being in Houston. We're the main hotspot for petroleum engineering, and just we're right next to Galveston, which they do a lot of oil digging. And our freshman field trip, we actually went over there to see how that was like. And I just feel like if something I wish I would have known is just that the relevance of how this is important for the world and important for us. It's just there's a lot of job opportunities in the future. It's just that would be useful for young minds like us.
And what other things are you seeing where you go, oh, I didn't know that this is part of the energy sector? I mean, you mentioned digging for oil, and and that's pretty obvious, seeing as we're in Houston.
Yeah.
But what's some of the non-obvious stuff that you've found out about?
That there's a lot of collaborative work going on. It's just you're not isolated. You're working with a bunch of other team members as well to produce a good project. So.
Eddie, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, how she mentioned that when you work in the energy industry, you don't just work by yourself, you work in a team, and you don't specifically need to study engineering for you to be in that engineering team. You can study anything and you can still be a part of it.
So what are some of the things that you're going through, exploring this sector? What are some of the things that are exciting you personally, Eddie, in terms of, you mentioned you don't have to be an engineer to be in it. So, what are some of the other things that you're maybe personally looking at and going, oh, hang on, this could be quite nice, or oh, I didn't know that this is part of the sort of energy sector as well?
Well, like you mentioned, you don't have to specifically study engineering. So in my mind, I was considering studying petroleum engineering, since how she mentioned we're in Houston, which it's a city that grew on engineering and petroleum.
Yeah, you've got it dripping around from everything.
And I was also considering what Dr. Weber studied, aerospace engineering, which is also a big part of that because it transports and it's a part of everyday life even if we don't notice it.
And from your perspective as well, because we are here at Itron Utility Week, the cubes kind of give it away. But how important are you finding that sort of, industrial involvement. Industrial is probably the wrong word, but companies like Itron getting involved, giving you exposure, giving you a sense of, do you find that valuable as people who are studying this sector?
Yes, it's a great opportunity for us because we get a young start, and we've had a lot of guest speakers at our school, and they all tell us like we didn't know that we were going to get into this career until we were already in college and we had already chosen our major, and then halfway through it we realized that it wasn't for us, and then our second option was engineering, and which is where we are now.
What about you?
Yeah, just adding on to what Eddie was saying, like we have a lot of guest speakers speaking to us about how they didn't have this opportunity like we did. Like we get to get exposed to these professors, the engineers, scientists, and it just opens us to more ideas of what the real world is from real life people. We're not reading it off the internet. These are real people standing in front of us telling us their experience and something we can avoid or provide ourselves with.
And tell me, because there is a talent shortage in this industry. This industry is also moving and becoming much more IT centric, much more data centric. So it really needs to kind of lure the data scientists away from the Googles and the Amazons of this world, because heaven knows we need them here. But from your perspective, what would you like to see happen in the way that you want to learn? When I was at university, I learned by blackboard or chalkboard, for want of a better word. A professor came in, probably didn't even say hello to the entire thing, started writing equations and lifting the board up, But you aren't in that world, thankfully.
No.
Good for you. But what would you like to see? I mean, what sort of industrial involvement would you like to have happen?
I would say like hands-on learning, just trying to be exposed to what's actually going on so we can experience it for ourselves. I would like to see that happen.
And Eddie, if anybody is watching this, I mean, if you would say, do this for us, and then you'll get more talent into the, what would that be?
Well, I would tell them that we're a high school that's based on energy, and we've been around this since day one that we started freshman year, and other schools aren't like our school. So if they could reach out to the other schools, to the other students that aren't in this environment, so they could get the same opportunities that we get.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
I mean, we already are such a small school, but we're
When
growing.
you say small, what's small? Because it's all relative, right?
We're in elementary school.
Right. How many people?
There's like 750.
That's not small.
It's small compared to other high schools in Houston.
Yeah.
So, but we're growing, we're getting more attention, and I mean, I feel like being at this school is just already a good opportunity to exposing us to events like this.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's quite unique that you've got a high school that is centered around the energy space and things like that. So when you talk to your friends, I mean, do they think you guys are a bit weird? Going to this energy school, or
We're different.
you're different?
When I tell my friends that don't go to the school about the things we do and the projects we do, they do think it's weird because they learn the way you learned, with the teacher teaching them on the blackboard.
Yeah.
It's so traditional.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, I think the message is that we need to change the way people get taught, but also it'd be kind of cool to replicate your high school in more places, not just in the United States, but around the world. So thanks very much for joining us. Thanks for bringing all of this to life, and it's been a great interview, and thanks as well for watching.